Hi, cybersecurity professionals. Today is the fourth week of our learning of ethical hacking. I hope you are still able to recap the previous sharing. If you are new to this channel, this is a channel where you'll be able to learn more about cybersecurity and get yourself up to be a cybersecurity professional. So remember to subscribe to this channel. And if you are new to this channel and hope to learn more about ethical hacking, I'll encourage you to go into Ethical Hacking Part 1 to have a better start. Today, we'll be sharing about the types of hacking. Then, we'll move into the phases of ethical hacking and talk about Reconnaissance. We'll focus on black box hacking process, then the scanning phase, gaining access phase, maintain phase, and clearing tracks phase. Now, let's take a look at the different types of hacking techniques. Hacking techniques can be classified into 3 different colors. And these colors simplify things for our understanding and learning. The first color will be black, and the normal industrial term will be called black box hacking. When conducting hacking techniques in a black box environment, the hackers have zero knowledge of the IT infrastructure in the system. In this environment, the most effort will be required, and a lot of tools and software will be used. The time to handle and break into such environment will be the longest. Next will be gray box hacking environment, where the hackers will have some knowledge of the hacking environment. They will not have the full information about the environment, but they will be given enough information to get the job done more quickly and more effectively. Finally, will be white box tactics, where the hackers will have full knowledge of the identified environment. With all the information given, the hacker will be able to plan what tools to use, what software will be required, and how to approach from it. In a white box environment, the hacker team can also cut the cost by aligning the best person to carry out the task. The environment might just require a junior penetration tester, a professional name for a hacker, rather than a senior hacker. This is how manpower costing can be cut. We have now come to the most interesting part of today's sharing, the phases of ethical hacking. This is a basic lesson for anyone keen to take up ethical hacking and get yourself a CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker certifications. The phases of ethical hacking will be reconnaissance, then scanning, followed by gaining access. Moving on will be to maintain access, and finally to cover tracks. If you think of this process, don't you find it the same as going for a battle? It makes a lot of sense as planning for a battle. Before the battle, you send in your recce troopers, which is a start, as the same as reconnaissance. Before they gain access, they will scan the environment, plan for the retreat route, and slowly move into enemy territory to gain access to them. Then you have to maintain the access and keep gathering the information they want. Before the army general sends in the main force to attack, the recce troopers will have to withdraw and you have to cover their traces. This is so no enemy will detect them and will not be able to come out with a countermeasures or alert their defense system. The first phase of ethical hacking will be reconnaissance. For hackers, these are steps to determine if they will want to use passive or active attacks. It can be known as the preparation phase. Hackers will use the passive attacks in black box tactics, where the victims or the environment is unknown. They will cast a net to fish for the network, for any victims that will fall prey. If the victims or the network is unknown, this will be white box tactics, and they will use the active attack. Under the active attack, the target is known, and this is a very useful piece of information to determine the level of skills of the hacker, the tools and software required. At this information gathering stage, information gathering will be achieved through the understanding of how hacking works. Remember, as shared before, at the beginning of this ethical hacking journey, we learned about the weakness of hacking. I hope you all still remember. The two kinds of weaknesses are tactical weakness and social weakness. By using tactical weakness to gain information, we will be using tools to sniff and scan the network to find out more information. We will gain specific IP addresses, identify vulnerabilities between the target systems, and finally, drew out a network map to know exactly how the network infrastructure works, to break it into easier forms and thoughts. They can also go into impersonating a website by mirroring it, using search engines to find information about the company, and even use the information of current employees for impersonations. In some cases, social weakness will require the hacker to go into web search and social media to gain more information on the victim. Social engineering tactics will be deployed as well, like dumpster diving. The objectives are to find out valuable information, such as old passwords, names of important employees, such as the head of network department, and perform an active reconnaissance to know how the company functions and the hierarchy of it. This is an example of black box hacking process during the reconnaissance phase. The links provided are actual links that ethical hackers use during their process. Step 1. To confirm the target. Understanding how the company website evolved by using the URL. Then you gain more website information through another URL. Followed by step 2, gaining all the details. So you can find out about diagram internet registry using the URL. If you are using Linux, you will use commands like whois and dig. Step number 3 will be Google hacking by using all those index and all those keywords to get your victim information out. The next phase will be scanning. This is a method which the hackers perform before they attack the network. In scanning, the hacker uses the details gathered during reconnaissance to identify specific weaknesses. Scanning can be considered a logical extension and overlap of active reconnaissance. Often, the attackers or hackers use automated tools such as network or host scanners to locate systems and attempt to discover weaknesses in the network. An attacker can gather critical network information such as mapping of systems, routers, and firewall by using simple tools such as traceroute. Traceroute is a free hacking tool which hacker will use. Port scanners can be used to detect listening ports to find information about the nature of services running on the target machine. The primary defense tactics in this regards is to shut down the services that are no longer required. Appropriate filtering may also be adopted as a defense mechanism. However, attackers can use tools to determine the rules implemented for filtering and overcome them. A CEH certified ethical hacker follows a particular sequence of steps to scan any network. Through a systematic approach presented, the scanning methods may differ based on the attack objective, which are set out before the attackers begin this process. The steps will be as follows. Check for live systems. Check for open ports. Identify service. Banner grabbing. OS fingerprinting. Scan for any vulnerabilities. Draw a network diagram of the vulnerable host. Prepare proxy. Finally, attack. The most used tools are vulnerability scanners. They can scan for several known weaknesses on the target network and can potentially detect thousands of weaknesses. This gives the hackers advantage of time because it enables him to find a single means of entry, while the system defenders and professionals have to secure many weaknesses by applying patches. Now will be to gain access, where hackers will gain access to the systems, applications, and network, and escalate their user privilege to control the systems connected to it. Gaining access is the most important phase of an attack in terms of potential damage. Attackers need not always gain access to the system to cause damage. For instance, denial of service DDoS attacks can either exhaust resources or stop services from running on the target system. Stopping of such service can be carried out by killing processes, using a logic time bomb, or even reconfiguring and crashing the systems. Resources can be exhausted locally by filling up outgoing communication links. The exploit can occur locally, offline, over a LAN, or on the internet as a deception or theft. Examples include stack-based buffer overflows, denial of service, and section hijacking. Attackers use a tactic called spoofing to exploit the system by pretending to be strangers or different systems. They can use these tactics to send a package containing a bug to the target systems to exploit the weaknesses. Package flooding may be used to remotely stop the availability of essential service. The most damaging type of denial of service can be called the distributed denial of service DDoS attacks, where an attacker uses zombie software distributed over several machines on the internet to trigger a large-scale denial of service. Then we'll move on to maintain the access of the attack. If this is established well, the attackers will not need to re-establish the connections every time they want to gain access to the target system. They can also use this to launch additional attacks on the network. Once an attacker gains access to the target systems, the attackers can choose to use both the system and the resources. And in the future, use the systems as a launchpad to scan and exploit other systems, or to keep a low profile and continue exploiting the systems. Both these actions can damage the company's systems and reputation. Attackers who choose to remain undetected remove evidence of their entry, and use a backdoor or a Trojan to gain repeat access. They can also install rootkits at the kernel level to gain super user access. The reason behind this is that rootkits gain access at the operating system level, while a Trojan horse gain access at the application level. Both rootkits and Trojans depends on users to install them. Between Windows systems, most Trojans install themselves as a service and run as a local system with administrative access. Attackers can use Trojan horses to transfer usernames, passwords, and even credit cards information stored on the system. They can maintain control over their system for a long time by hardening the system against other attackers, and sometimes in the process will cause some kind of degree of protections to the system from other attacks. To maintain such access to the systems, the attackers can use their access to steal data, consume CPU cycles, and trade sensitive information, or even resort to extortions. The company can use intrusion detection systems or deploy honeypots and honeynets to detect intruders. In simple words, it is a setup environment that has the intention to attract cyber attacks as a decoy. This protective layer will use their intrusion attempts to gain information about cyber criminals and the way they are operating, or to distract them from other targets. This method is not recommended unless the company has the required security professionals to leverage the concept of protection. Lastly, will be to cover the tracks. Once the attacker gains access and dump out all the previous phrases, the final step will be to cover the trace. They are doing this to cover up their tracks, to escape the security personnel, and normally to cover up trace in the system. They will do so by cleaning the archive and cookies, tampering with the logs files, and closing all the open ports. And attackers would like to destroy evidence of their presence and activities for various reasons, such as maintaining access. This step is important because it clears the system's information, making hacking a greater deal and harder to track. Erasing evidence of compromise is a requirement of an attacker who likes to remain uncovered. This is one of the best methods. These usually start with erasing the contaminated logins and any possible error message that has been generated from the attack process. For example, buffer overflow attacks will usually leave a message in the system logs. Next, the attention is turned to effectively changes so that future logins are not locked. By manipulating and tweaking the event logs, the system administrator can be convinced that the output of the system is correct and that no intrusions or compromise has taken place. Since the first thing a system administrator does is to monitor unusual activities by checking the system log files. It is a common practice for attackers to use the utilities to modify the system logs. If the attackers intend to access the system for a longer period, they might use rootkits to disable logging totally and discard all existing logs. But this will be an extreme case. They will then remove only those portions of the logs that will reveal their presence. Attackers must make the system look like there's no action done before they gain access and establish backdoors for their use only. Any files
which have been modified need to be changed back to their original attributes. The information listed, such as file size and date, just attributes information contained within the file. And attackers can also use the system as a cover-up to launch fresh attacks against other systems, or use it as a means of reaching another system on the network without being detected. Therefore, this phase of attack can turn into a new cycle of attacks by using reconnaissance tactics all over again.
Now, let's take a break from our ethical hacking for today. Do remember to like, comment, and share. And I'll see you all for the next sharing.